My hand slammed down on the mahogany casket just as Elder Marcus reached for the torch, my voice tearing through the sacred silence like claws through flesh. Stop. He's not dead, I can feel his heartbeat. 300 pairs of eyes locked onto me. The Silvercrest pack stood frozen in their funeral blacks, faces twisted between shock and disgust. I didn't blame them. I was Mira Chen, the pack's embarrassment, the rejected Omega who couldn't keep her alpha, the disgrace who'd been cast aside like spoiled meat 2 years ago. But none of that mattered now. Not with the pull I felt in my chest, that invisible thread I thought had been severed the day Damon rejected me in front of the entire pack. The bond I'd pretended was dead, just like they all believed he was. Get her out of here. Garrett Silvercrest's voice cut through the clearing, sharp and cold. He stood tall in his ceremonial robes, already dressed for the alpha ceremony that would follow this funeral. His eyes held no sympathy, only irritation. She's hysterical. I'm not hysterical. I pressed both palms against the casket, feeling the wood warm beneath my touch. Or maybe that was just my imagination. Maybe I really was losing my mind. Please, just listen to me. Enough. Lunar Regent Evelyn stepped forward, her silver hair pulled back so tightly it made her face look skeletal. She'd always hated me, even before Damon rejected me. Especially after. My son is dead, girl. We all saw his body. We all mourned him for 3 days. 3 days. That's how long it had been since the rogues attacked the northern border. Since they'd found Damon's body torn apart, throat ripped open, eyes staring at nothing. I'd heard about it from Sarah, the only pack member who still spoke to me, who'd found me scrubbing floors in the Omega quarters where I'd been relegated after the rejection. Your grief doesn't give you the right to desecrate his funeral, Evelyn continued, her voice dripping with venom disguised as patience. Guards, remove her. 2 enforcers moved toward me. I recognized them both, Jake and Marcus, wolves who'd once nodded to me in the corridors when I was Damon's mate, who now looked through me like I was invisible. Wait. The word came out stronger than I felt. I was shaking, my Omega wolf whimpering inside me, every instinct screaming to submit, to lower my eyes, to obey. But that pull in my chest, that impossible, undeniable pull, wouldn't let me. Just look at him. Please. 1 minute. That's all I'm asking. We've looked at him plenty, Garrett said, but something flickered across his face. Annoyance? Or was it fear? He's been prepared for burial. The body has been blessed. This is. Then 1 more minute won't matter. I turned to face the pack, seeing my reflection in their hostile stares. Small. Weak. Worthless. Everything they'd called me since the rejection. If I'm wrong, I'll leave. I'll go rogue. I'll never set foot in Silvercrest territory again. Silence fell over the clearing. The funeral pyre stood ready, branches of sacred mountain ash arranged in ancient patterns. The full moon hung heavy overhead, turning everything silver and strange. Let her look. The voice came from the back, Sarah, her hand raised, her face pale but determined. What harm can it do? The disrespect, Evelyn started. Is already done, Elder Marcus interrupted quietly. The old wolf's eyes were thoughtful as they studied me. And a rejected mate feeling a bond 3 days after death, that is unusual enough to warrant investigation. I could have kissed him. Instead, I turned back to the casket before anyone could change their minds, my fingers finding the seal. It opened with a whisper of hinges that sounded like a scream in the silent clearing. Damon lay inside, dressed in white ceremonial robes. My breath caught. Even dead. Or supposedly dead, he was beautiful. Dark hair swept back from sharp features, his strong jaw slack, his full lips pale. They'd cleaned the blood away, stitched the worst of the wounds. His throat showed the terrible tears where the rogues had ripped into him. But that wasn't what made my heart stop. His chest. It was moving. Not breathing, exactly. The rise and fall was too slow, too subtle. But it was there, a barely perceptible movement that could have been mistaken for shadows from the torchlight. "He's not," I started, but Evelyn pushed me aside. "This is madness," she hissed, but I saw her lean closer, saw her hand hover over her son's chest. Waiting. Watching. Nothing happened. The moment stretched like taffy. I heard someone cough. Someone else whispered. The pack was getting restless, and I felt my certainty crumbling. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe grief had finally broken something inside me that couldn't be fixed. Then I saw them. "Look at the lid," I breathed. "Look at the inside of the lid." Everyone pressed closer. In the torchlight, the marks were unmistakable, long gouges in the silk lining, deep scratches in the wood beneath. 4 parallel lines, like claw marks. Like something inside had tried to get out. "That's impossible," Garrett said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "The casket was sealed 3 days ago. We all witnessed it." "Then explain the marks," Elder Marcus demanded, running his gnarled fingers over the gouges. Fresh wood showed beneath the scratches, pale and raw. "These are new." Evelyn's face had gone white. She reached for her son's hand, the one folded over his chest, and gasped. "He's cold. Ice cold." But what?" I pushed forward again, not caring about protocol anymore. "His wounds." Her voice broke. 3 days ago, they were still open. Still bleeding. We couldn't stop it. But now. I looked. The terrible tears in his throat were still there, but they looked different. The edges had pulled together, just slightly. New tissue, pink and raw, showed at the margins. It shouldn't be possible. Dead things didn't heal. Unless they weren't really dead. "This is some kind of trick," Garrett said, but he'd backed away from the casket, his face twisted with something that looked like panic. "Some Omega magic." "I'm not magic." I snapped. "I'm barely anything at all, remember? That's what you all love to remind me." "Mira." Sarah appeared at my side, her hand gripping my arm. "Your bond. You said you felt it this morning. When did it start?" I closed my eyes, reaching for that thread of connection I'd buried so deep I'd almost convinced myself it wasn't real. When Damon rejected me, he'd tried to sever it completely. Most alpha rejections did, the bond would snap, clean and complete, leaving both wolves free. But ours hadn't. Not completely. A tiny thread had remained, so faint I could pretend it wasn't there. Until this morning, when I'd woken up choking, my throat burning, my chest screaming with pain that wasn't mine. "Dawn," I whispered. Right at dawn, I felt him drowning. Suffocating. Trying to claw his way out of something. The clearing went deadly quiet. Every wolf there knew what I was saying. Knew what it meant. "She's suggesting he was buried alive," someone whispered. "No," Elder Marcus said slowly, still studying the casket, the claw marks, Damon's slowly healing wounds. "She's suggesting something far worse. That perhaps our alpha wasn't dead when we prepared him for burial. That perhaps whatever attacked him did something that merely made him appear dead. And 3 days later. He didn't finish. He didn't have to." "Get him out," Evelyn commanded, her Luna voice cracking like a whip. "Get him out now." Enforcers rushed forward, lifting Damon's body from the casket with careful hands. He remained motionless, that terrible stillness of death, but I felt it, that flutter in my chest, that phantom heartbeat that matched something inside him. "There's a pulse," Jake said, his fingers pressed to Damon's throat, right over the healing wounds. Faint. So faint I almost missed it. But it's there. The pack erupted. Voices rising in confusion, fear, hope. Garrett stood frozen, his face a mask of shock that looked wrong somehow, like an expression he'd practiced. And I stood there, staring at the man who'd rejected me, who'd told me I was too weak to be his Luna, too broken to deserve his bond. The man who might have spent 3 days trapped in a coffin, aware but unable to move, unable to scream, feeling himself being prepared for a funeral pyre that would burn him alive. Mira. Elder Marcus gripped my shoulder. Whatever bond you share with him, no matter how faint, we need you. Can you reach him? Could I? I'd spent 2 years pretending that thread didn't exist. 2 years shoving it down, ignoring it, letting it atrophy until it was barely a whisper. I don't know, I admitted. Try, Evelyn said, and for the first time since Damon rejected me, she looked at me like I was something other than garbage. Please. He's my son. I knelt beside Damon's body as they laid him on the ground. Up close, I could see the faint blue tinge to his lips, the ice crystals forming at his hairline. Whatever had happened to him, whatever had put him in this death-like state, it was killing him slowly. I reached for that thread, that gossamer connection I'd denied for so long. It resisted at first, brittle from years of neglect. But I pushed harder, reaching through the bond with everything I had. Damon, I called. If you can hear me, fight. Come back. Nothing. Just that faint, impossible heartbeat. Damon, please. I know you rejected me. I know you don't want this bond. But you have to live. Your pack needs you. Your mother needs you. Still nothing. The thread remained cold and empty. I was losing him. Whatever slim chance we'd had, it was slipping away with every second. Around me, I felt the pack's hope dying, felt them turning away, accepting the inevitable. Screw it. I pressed my hand over his heart and sent everything I had down that thread, every ounce of my pathetic omega strength, every scrap of emotion I'd bottled up for 2 years. The love I'd never stopped feeling. The rage at being rejected. The grief. The loneliness. The desperate, aching hope that maybe, somehow, he'd wake up and things would be different. The thread went taut. Then it burned. Damon's eyes snapped open, pale gold and utterly inhuman, and his hand shot out to grip my throat. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. His fingers closed around my throat like iron bands, and for one crystalline moment, I thought, this is it. This is how I die. Killed by the man I never stopped loving. Damon's eyes were wrong. That pale gold had always reminded me of morning sunlight, but now they glowed like something radioactive, something toxic. His lips pulled back from his teeth in a snarl that had nothing human in it. Damon, stop. Evelyn's voice cracked with command. She saved you. But he wasn't hearing her. Maybe he wasn't hearing anything except whatever nightmare he'd been trapped in for 3 days. His grip tightened, and black spots danced across my vision. I didn't fight back. Some stupid, broken part of me thought maybe I deserved this. Then Riley was there, Damon's younger sister, barely 19, small but fierce. She grabbed her brother's wrist with both hands. Brother, please. It's Mira. She's Pack. She's safe. Something flickered in those glowing eyes. Recognition? Or just confusion? His grip loosened fractionally, enough for me to drag in a desperate breath. Then his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed like someone had cut his strings. I fell backward, clutching my throat, coughing. Sarah caught me before I hit the ground. Get him to the healing house, Elder Marcus commanded. Now. The enforcers moved quickly, lifting Damon's unconscious form with careful efficiency. Evelyn followed, her face carved from stone. But Garrett stood motionless, staring at his cousin's body like it was a snake that might strike. This changes nothing, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Damon Silvercrest has been declared dead for 3 days. The succession rites have passed. I am Alpha by Pack law. He's not dead, I rasped, my throat burning. You all saw. I saw a dying man's last convulsion, Garrett interrupted smoothly. A tragic final spark before the light goes out completely. It happens sometimes with severe trauma. The healer will confirm it. The healer will examine him properly, Elder Marcus said, his tone brooking no argument. Until we know the full extent of his condition, no succession can be finalized. Pack law says. Pack law says the Elder Council interprets all matters of succession. Marcus cut him off. And I'm invoking emergency protocols. We have 3 days to determine if Daemon Silvercrest can resume his duties as Alpha. If he cannot. The old wolf's eyes were sad as they landed on me, then Garrett. Then we'll discuss succession. Not before. Garrett's jaw worked, fury rolling off him in waves. But he couldn't argue with Elder Marcus without looking like he was power-hungry. Smart wolves knew when to retreat. 3 days, he agreed, flashing teeth that were too white, too perfect. But when he doesn't wake up, when he dies properly this time, I expect the ceremony to proceed without further interruptions. He looked directly at me when he said it, and something in his stare made my skin crawl. The crowd began to disperse, whispers following them like leaves in wind. I caught fragments: disgrace, Omega, desperate. Let them talk. I'd heard worse. Riley appeared at my side, her dark eyes fierce with determination. At 19, she looked like her brother, same sharp features, same aristocratic bones. But where Daemon had learned to wear authority like armor, Riley still had softness in her. We'd been friends once, before the rejection. After, she tried to maintain contact, but I'd pushed everyone away. The healing house, she said quietly. Come on. I don't think your mother wants me there. I don't care what my mother wants. Riley linked her arm through mine with the same stubborn strength she'd shown grabbing Daemon's wrist. You felt his heartbeat when none of us could. Whatever bond you two share, rejected or not, it's real. And right now, you might be the only thing keeping my brother alive. The healing house sat at the edge of Pack territory, a converted barn that smelled of herbs and antiseptic. Healer Meredith met us at the door, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a practical bun, her face grave. He's stable, she said before Riley could ask. But barely. His vital signs are almost non-existent. Heart rate is maybe 5 beats per minute. Body temperature is dropping. It's like watching someone freeze from the inside out. But he's alive, I insisted. Technically. Meredith stepped aside to let us enter. Though I've never seen anything like this. It's as if his body is caught between states, not quite living, not quite dead. Some kind of suspended animation. Daemon lay on the examination table, stripped to the waist. In the harsh light, I could see every wound. The tears in his throat had definitely healed more, the edges were knitting together with that unnatural pink tissue. But other marks covered his torso. Deep gouges. Bite wounds. Signs of a vicious attack. And something else. Dark veins spiderwebbing under his skin, spreading from the wounds like poison. What is that? Riley breathed, tracing the air above the black lines without touching them. Meredith pulled on examination gloves, her movements precise. That's what concerns me most. I've seen wolfsbane poisoning before, it's rare but treatable. But this. She pressed gently around one of the bite wounds, and black liquid seeped out. This is something else entirely. She collected the substance on a glass slide, held it up to the light. It didn't move like normal liquid. It seemed to pulse, almost alive. Riley, Meredith said slowly, go to my library. Top shelf, red leather binding. There's a book on historical poisons and venoms. Bring it here. Don't let anyone see you. Riley hesitated, looking between her unconscious brother and the healer. Why the secrecy? Because if I'm right about what this is. Meredith's hands were shaking slightly as she set down the slide. Someone needs to be very afraid. Now go. Riley went. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving me alone with Meredith and Daemon's barely breathing body. You felt his heartbeat, Meredith said. It wasn't a question. Through the rejected bond. I nodded, not trusting my voice. That shouldn't be possible. She moved around the table, checking Damon's pupils, his temperature, the healing wounds. A proper rejection severs the bond completely. It's painful but clean. Like cutting a rope. Both parties feel it snap, and then it's done. Ours didn't, I admitted. Not completely. There was always this tiny thread left. I tried to ignore it. For 2 years. For 2 years. Meredith was quiet for a long moment, her skilled hands moving over Damon's cold skin. Do you know why he rejected you, Mira? The memory hit me like a physical blow. 2 years ago. The old warehouse on the eastern border. I'd gone looking for Damon, worried because he'd been acting strange for weeks. Secretive. Angry. Disappearing at odd hours. I'd found him standing over a body. A wolf I didn't recognize, throat torn out, blood pooling on concrete. Damon's hands had been red. His eyes had been wild. You can't be here, he'd said. You weren't supposed to see this. What did you do? I'd whispered. Damon, what did you do? What I had to. His voice had been empty. Dead. Go home, Mira. But I couldn't. I'd stood there frozen, staring at the body, at the blood, at the man I loved turned into something I didn't recognize. I said go. He'd roared it, his alpha command hitting me like a sledgehammer. I'd run. And the next day, in front of the entire pack, he'd rejected me. Told everyone I was too weak to be his Luna. That I'd never be strong enough. That I disgusted him. I'd never told anyone what I'd seen. Never asked about the body or who it belonged to. I just accepted it. Accepted that the man I loved was capable of murder, and that he'd thrown me away to keep his secret. I know why, I told Meredith quietly. But I don't think you'd believe me if I told you. Try me. I'm old and I've seen things that would make your hair white. Before I could answer, Riley burst back through the door, the red leather book clutched to her chest. Her face was pale. I found it, she gasped. Meredith, I think you're right. I think I know what this is. The healer took the book with careful hands, flipping through pages yellow with age. She stopped on one, her finger tracing old text, and I watched her face drain of color. Goddess help us, she breathed. It's Wolfsbane Requiem. What's that? I moved closer, trying to read the faded words. The book was handwritten, the script ornate and difficult to decipher. A legendary poison, Riley said, her voice shaking. My father used to tell stories about it. During the old wars between packs, some wolves were masters of poison craft. They created toxins specifically designed to kill other wolves. But Wolfsbane Requiem was considered the cruelest. Meredith read aloud from the book, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Wolfsbane Requiem combines pure wolfsbane extract with the venom of a shadow serpent and 3 drops of a dying wolf's blood. When administered, it creates a death so convincing that even pack bonds register the victim as deceased. The victim remains conscious but paralyzed, aware of everything happening around them, unable to move or communicate. Death comes slowly, typically within 5 to 7 days, unless the antidote is administered. The room went silent except for the barely audible sound of Damon's heartbeat. 5 beats per minute. Like a clock ticking toward an ending. He was aware, I whispered, horror creeping through me. For 3 days. In that coffin. He was aware. The claw marks, Riley said, tears streaming down her face. He was trying to get out. Trying to scream. And we were going to burn him alive. I thought I might be sick. The cruelty of it was staggering. Not just to kill someone, but to trap them in their own body, to let them experience their own funeral, to know they were about to be burned alive and be utterly helpless to stop it. Who would do this? Riley demanded. Who would even know how to make this poison? That book says it hasn't been used in over 200 years. Someone who wants Damon dead, Meredith said grimly, and who wants to make absolutely sure he stays that way. Someone who has access to extremely rare ingredients and knowledge of ancient poison craft. Can you cure it? I asked. My throat still ached from where Damon's fingers had closed around it, but I'd take 100 crushed windpipes if it meant saving him. The book mentions an antidote. Meredith turned the page, her eyes scanning rapidly. Then she sagged against the table, defeated. Yes. There's an antidote. But the ingredients. She laughed, a bitter sound. Moonpetal flowers that only bloom during a lunar eclipse. Shadow serpent antivenom, from a living serpent, voluntarily given. And the tears of the one who loves the victim most, shed at the moment of their deepest despair. That's impossible, Riley said flatly. There's no lunar eclipse for 3 months. Shadow serpents are extinct. And tears? How do you even measure that? But I was staring at the book, at the smaller text beneath the main recipe. Wait. There's more. It says, in dire circumstances, a temporary remedy may be prepared using moonpetal essence from preserved flowers, synthetic antivenom, and any tears shed in true grief. This will slow the poison's progression but not cure it completely. The victim will wake but remain vulnerable. Without the true antidote, death will claim them within 1 lunar cycle. 1 month, Meredith murmured. We could buy him 1 month. Where do we get the ingredients? I was already moving toward the door. The temporary ones. Tell me what you need. Moonpetal essence is in the restricted storage at Elder Marcus's house, Riley said. My father kept some after the last eclipse, for emergencies. The synthetic antivenom. She looked at Meredith. The Nightshade Pack, the healer said reluctantly. They're the only ones who manufacture it. They're also our sworn enemies who would sooner rip our throats out than help us. Then we don't ask for help, I said. We take it. Riley's eyes went wide. That's insane. You can't just walk into enemy territory. I can if it saves your brother. The decision crystallized in my mind, sharp and clear. I'm Omega. Omegas can request sanctuary in any pack under ancient law. They'll have to let me in. Once I'm there, I'll find the antivenom and get out. They'll kill you, Meredith said bluntly. Sanctuary doesn't mean safety, girl. It means they can't turn you away at the border. But once you're inside, you're fair game if you're caught stealing. Then I won't get caught. I looked down at Damon, at those black veins spreading under his skin like cracks in ice. 3 days he'd been trapped. 3 days of horror I couldn't imagine. I owe him this. You owe him nothing, Riley said fiercely. He rejected you. He threw you away like you were nothing. I know. I touched the edge of the examination table, my fingers inches from Damon's cold hand. But I'm not doing this for him. Not really. I'm doing it because someone tried to kill your alpha, tried to murder him in the cruelest way possible, and they're getting away with it. I'm doing it because Garrett is out there right now, probably celebrating, thinking he's won. I'm doing it because... The door slammed open. Garrett stood in the doorway, 6 enforcers behind him, his face carved from fury. Mira Chen, he said formally, by the authority granted to me as Alpha-elect, I'm placing you under arrest for the desecration of a funeral ceremony, disturbing the peace, and assault on the Alpha. Assault? Riley stepped in front of me. She saved his life. She forced open a sacred casket, Garrett corrected coldly. She disrupted a funeral ceremony. And when the Alpha woke, his first action was to attack her. Clearly, he sensed a threat. That's ridiculous, Meredith snapped. The Alpha was disoriented from the poison. He didn't know what he was doing. Poison? Garrett's eyes sharpened. What poison? Too late, I realized the mistake. Meredith's face went carefully blank, but the damage was done. Garrett moved into the room, his gaze sweeping over the open book, the glass slide with its sample of black liquid, Damon's unconscious form with those telltale dark veins. Interesting, he murmured. So the great Daemon Silvercrest was poisoned. And yet no one thought to inform the Alpha-Elect of this discovery? We just confirmed it, Riley said quickly. We were about to report. Were you? Garrett's smile was sharp enough to cut. Or were you planning to keep this quiet? To tend to him in secret, perhaps? To undermine my authority? Your authority isn't established, Meredith said flatly. Elder Marcus gave us 3 days to determine Daemon's condition. And I'm sure you'd use those 3 days to cook up some miracle cure, parade him around as proof he should remain Alpha. Garrett shook his head. I don't think so. Enforcers, take Miss Chen into custody. And someone confiscate that book and all related materials. I want everything Healer Meredith has learned about this poison documented and placed under guard. You can't do that, I said, but even as the words left my mouth, enforcers were moving. Jake grabbed my arm, his grip apologetic but firm. Another wolf, Thomas, reached for the red leather book. I can and I will, Garrett said smoothly. For the good of the pack. We can't have information about poisons just floating around, can we? Someone might get ideas. The threat was clear. He was taking everything we'd learned, locking it away where we couldn't access it. Without the book, without Meredith's notes, we'd have no way to create the antidote. Daemon would die within days, and Garrett would become Alpha. Jake, please, I said softly to the enforcer holding my arm. You know this is wrong. I'm sorry, Mira. And he did look sorry, his eyes pained. But I have orders. They pulled me toward the door. I looked back at Daemon one last time, at Riley's stricken face, at Meredith's helpless fury. This couldn't be how it ended. Not like this. Then I saw it. Meredith's hand, hidden by her body, slipping something small and dark into Riley's pocket. The younger woman's eyes widened fractionally, then went carefully neutral. Take her to the holding cells, Garrett commanded. And Riley? I think you should go home. Your mother needs you. These have been trying times for your family. It was a dismissal, but Riley nodded meekly, playing the obedient daughter. Of course, cousin. Thank you for your concern. She left, and I prayed she'd hidden whatever Meredith had given her well enough. The enforcers marched me out into the night, toward the pack house and the cells beneath it. I'd been in those cells once before, years ago, when a group of us teenagers had gotten drunk and disorderly. They were cold, dark, and designed to break a wolf's spirit. 3 days, Elder Marcus had said. 3 days to prove Daemon could recover. But Garrett had just made sure those 3 days would be spent with me locked away and all our research confiscated. Unless Riley could work a miracle. The holding cells were exactly as I remembered, concrete floors, iron bars treated with silver to prevent shifting, and a cold that seeped into your bones. They locked me in the far cell, the one usually reserved for rogues, and left one guard. Marcus. Of course it would be Marcus, whose mate I'd helped deliver twins to last year. He couldn't quite meet my eyes. I'm sorry about this, Mira, he said gruffly. Orders are orders. I know. I sat on the narrow cot, wrapping my arms around myself. Marcus, can I ask you something? He hesitated, then nodded. Do you think Daemon's weak? For getting poisoned? The enforcer was quiet for a long moment. I think someone got close enough to our Alpha to dose him with a legendary poison nobody's seen in 200 years. That doesn't speak of weakness. That speaks of betrayal. You think it was someone in the pack? Has to be. Marcus leaned against the wall outside my cell. Rogues don't have access to that kind of knowledge or resources. And they definitely don't have access to the Alpha's personal space, his food, his drink. Whoever did this. He shook his head. They're still here. Walking among us. Probably celebrating. A chill ran down my spine. He was right. The poisoner was still in Silvercrest territory, still pretending to be loyal, still waiting to see if Daemon would die or if they needed to finish the job. Marcus, what if? A scream cut through the night. High and terrible, it came from the direction of the healing house. Marcus was moving before the sound died, running toward it, his hand on his weapon. He didn't even spare me a glance. The scream had triggered every protective instinct. I gripped the bars, heart pounding. What now? What fresh horror? Minutes crawled by. More shouts. The sound of running feet. Then Riley was there, her face white as bone, blood spattered across her shirt. "Mira," she gasped, fumbling with the cell keys. "Mira, we have to go. Now." What happened? That scream. Meredith. Riley's hands shook so badly she could barely fit the key in the lock. Someone killed her. They killed her and took everything, all her notes, all her supplies, everything about the poison. It's gone. It's all gone. The cell door swung open. I stumbled out, gripping Riley's shoulders. The book? The ingredients? Stolen. Tears tracked through the blood on her face. And there's more. Someone broke into Elder Marcus's house and destroyed the moonpetal essence. Every last drop. And they sent a message to the Nightshade Pack claiming Silvercrest was planning an attack. The borders are on high alert. We can't get anywhere near their territory now. Everything. They'd taken everything we needed to save Damon. Every possible path to the antidote had been systematically destroyed. Who would? I started, but Riley cut me off. Someone who's been planning this for a long time, she said grimly. Someone who knows exactly how pack politics work and how to manipulate them. Someone who wants my brother dead and buried, and who'll kill anyone who tries to stop them. She pressed something into my hand, the small dark object Meredith had slipped her. It was a vial, filled with shimmering liquid that seemed to glow in the darkness. Meredith gave this to me before Garrett took everything, Riley whispered. She said if anything happened to her, I should give it to you. She said you'd know what to do. I held the vial up to the light. Inside, preserved in some kind of solution, was a single perfect flower petal. Silver white, delicate as moonlight. Moon petal. Meredith had saved a sample. It's not enough for the full antidote, Riley said. But Meredith wrote instructions on the bottom of the vial. Said if we can get the Shadow Serpent antivenom, this might be enough to wake him. Temporarily. The Nightshade Pack is now convinced we're planning to attack them. We'd be killed on sight. Riley's jaw set stubbornly. But there might be another way. Meredith told me something before she died. She said there's a black market dealer who operates between territories. A wolf named Silas who trades in illegal goods, poisons, antivenoms, anything you can't get through normal channels. If anyone has synthetic Shadow Serpent antivenom, it would be him. Where? The Deadlands. Neutral territory, technically, but really just a lawless stretch where rogues and criminals operate. Riley met my eyes. It's suicide to go there, Mira. Especially for an Omega. You'd be. She couldn't finish. I'll be what I've always been, I said quietly, tucking the vial carefully into my pocket. Underestimated. Let's go. We have to be smart about this. Garrett will have guards watching for us. Half the pack is probably looking. Shouts echoed from the healing house. Closer now. They discovered I was gone from the cells. We run, I said. Now. We ran. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. We ran through the forest like ghosts, Riley leading us along paths she'd known since childhood. Behind us, shouts echoed through the trees, search parties fanning out, looking for the escaped prisoner and the Alpha's sister who'd helped her. Here, Riley gasped, pulling me toward a rocky outcrop. She pressed against a specific stone, and part of the cliff face swung inward, a hidden door. Father had these passages built during the old wars. Only family knows about them. We stumbled into darkness. Riley pulled the door shut behind us, and suddenly the sounds of pursuit cut off, muffled by layers of stone. She lit a small flashlight, revealing a narrow tunnel carved through rock. "This will take us to the eastern border," she said, already moving deeper into the passage. "From there, you're on your own. The Deadlands are 20 miles north of the border marker. Silas operates out of an old gas station, you can't miss it. It's the only structure for miles. What about you?" I followed her, one hand trailing along the damp stone wall for balance. "Garrett will know you helped me escape. Let him." Riley's voice echoed off the walls. "I'm the Alpha's sister. He can't touch me without causing a political nightmare. Besides, I'm not the one going into rogue territory to meet with a black market dealer." She said it lightly, but I heard the fear underneath. We both knew the chances of me coming back from the Deadlands were slim. Rogues didn't follow pack law. They didn't respect sanctuary. An Omega alone would be seen as prey. "Riley, about what Kale said." "Not now." She cut me off sharply. "We need to focus on getting you out of here first. Then we can worry about mysterious messages from enemy Alphas." But I couldn't stop thinking about it. "Tell Damon I know about the child. Tell him Celine kept her promise." Who was Celine? And what child was Kale talking about? The tunnel seemed to go on forever, sloping gradually downward, then back up. My legs burned. My throat still ached where Damon's fingers had closed around it. But I kept moving, kept putting one foot in front of the other, because the alternative was stopping, and stopping meant Damon would die. Finally, Riley slowed. Ahead, I could see faint light filtering through cracks in stone. "This is it," she said quietly. "The exit is about 100 yards from the border marker. Once you cross into neutral territory, you're outside pack protection. Be careful, Mira. The Deadlands aren't called that for nothing." I pulled her into a tight hug. She stiffened for a moment, then hugged me back just as fiercely. "Bring him back," she whispered. "Whatever it takes, bring my brother back." "I will." I hoped I sounded more confident than I felt. "And Riley? Watch Garrett. If he killed Meredith." "He won't touch me," she said firmly. "I'm the Alpha's heir if Damon dies. He needs me compliant, not dead. Now go." "And Mira?" "The Nightshade Pack borders are just west of the Deadlands. If you run into trouble." "I don't know. Maybe avoid them." Why would I go anywhere near Nightshade territory? But even as I said it, something clicked in my mind. The ingredients for the antidote. Shadow Serpent Antivenom. The book had said the temporary remedy needed synthetic antivenom, but what if there was another option? What if we could get the real thing? Riley's eyes widened as she saw me thinking it through. "No. Mira, no. You can't possibly be considering." "The book mentioned shadow serpents," I said slowly. "Said they were extinct. But what if they're not? What if someone just wants everyone to think they are? Even if they do exist, even if by some miracle the Nightshade Pack has won, you can't just walk into Kale Nightfall's territory and ask nicely." Riley grabbed my shoulders. "He and Damon nearly killed each other 5 years ago. The peace treaty is held together by spit and prayers. If he catches you, then he catches me." I pulled away gently. "But I have to try, Riley. The Moonpetal Meredith saved might be enough to wake Damon temporarily, but without the proper antivenom, he'll just die anyway. We need the real thing." "You're insane." "Probably." I managed a smile that felt like broken glass. "But I'm also right. Go back. Cover for me as long as you can. Tell them I overpowered you, took the key, whatever you need to say. They won't believe that. They will if you sell it." I moved toward the exit, toward the thin line of light that meant freedom and possibly death. "You're an Alpha's daughter. You know how to lie. Riley's laugh was bitter. Yeah. I do. Goddess go with you, Mira. And if you die out there, I'm going to be really pissed. Noted. I slipped through the crack in the stone, emerging into pre-dawn darkness. The forest here was different, wilder, less manicured. This was the borderland, where pack territory gave way to neutral ground. I could feel it, that subtle shift in the air, like crossing from a warm house into cold night. The border marker stood about 50 yards away, a tall stone carved with the Silvercrest sigil. Beyond it, nothing but wilderness and danger. I ran. The Deadlands earned their name. As the sun rose, I could see the landscape change from lush forest to something blighted. Trees grew twisted and sparse, their branches bare even though it was summer. The ground was rocky, dotted with dead grass and patches of bare earth. Nothing moved. No birds sang. It was like nature itself had given up on this place. I'd been walking for about 2 hours when I saw the gas station. Riley was right, you couldn't miss it. It sat in the middle of nothing like a monument to better times, its rusted pumps standing like sentinels. The building itself was small, maybe 4 rooms total, with boarded windows and graffiti covering every visible surface. Smoke rose from a chimney pipe. Someone was home. I approached carefully, every instinct screaming at me to run. This was a trap. Had to be. Nobody operated a legitimate business in the Deadlands unless the business was decidedly illegitimate. The door opened before I reached it. A man stood there, older, maybe 60, with gray shot through his dark hair and scars running down the left side of his face. His eyes were sharp, assessing, and completely unimpressed. Omega, he said. Not a question. You're either very brave or very stupid, coming here alone. Probably both. I stopped about 10 feet away, showing my empty hands. I'm looking for Silas. Found him. The man, Silas, apparently, leaned against the doorframe. What's a Silvercrest Omega doing in my territory? And don't bother lying. I can smell your pack on you from here. No point in pretending. I need synthetic shadow serpent antivenom. I was told you might have some. His eyebrows rose. Might. For the right price. What are you offering? I pulled out the small bag I'd brought, everything of value I owned. Some jewelry, a few $100s saved from my cleaning work, and the silver bracelet Damon had given me on our mating day, before everything went wrong. Silas barely glanced at it. Not enough. Synthetic antivenom is rare, dangerous to make, and highly illegal. You're looking at $50,000 minimum. My heart sank. I don't have $50,000. Then we're done here. He started to close the door. Wait. I moved forward without thinking. Please. It's for someone who was poisoned. He's dying. I need that antivenom or he won't survive the week. Silas paused, studying me with those sharp eyes. Someone. You mean your Alpha? Damon Silvercrest. I froze. How did you? Word travels fast in the Deadlands. Rumor is your Alpha got himself killed by rogues. Funeral was supposed to be last night. He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Except apparently the funeral got interrupted by a desperate Omega who felt his heartbeat through a rejected bond. Now that Alpha-elect Garrett has put out a reward for your capture, and you're here in my gas station looking for antivenom to a poison that supposedly doesn't exist anymore. He knew. He knew everything. Which meant either he was very well informed, or... You sold the poison, I whispered. You're the one who provided the Wolfsbane Requiem. Silas's expression didn't change. I sell a lot of things to a lot of people. I don't ask questions, and I don't take sides in pack politics. Someone used what you sold to nearly kill our Alpha. Nearly is the key word. He stepped aside, gesturing into the dark interior of the gas station. You want the antivenom or not? Clock's ticking on your Alpha's life, Omega. Every second you waste arguing with me is another second closer to him dying for real. I wanted to hit him. This man had probably supplied the poison that put Damon in that death state, had probably taken money from whoever wanted him dead, and now he was going to profit again by selling me the cure. It was obscene. It was also my only option. I walked into the gas station. Inside was surprisingly clean, a front room that looked like a normal shop, shelves stocked with supplies, and a back room visible through an open door where I could see what looked like a laboratory setup. Beakers, burners, vials of colored liquids. Sit, Silas commanded, gesturing to a worn couch. We need to negotiate. I told you, I don't have 50,000. I don't want your money. He moved to a cabinet, pulling out a wooden box. I want information. About what? About who's trying to kill your alpha. He set the box on a table between us, not opening it yet. See, I sold Wolfsbane Requiem to someone about 2 weeks ago. They paid in cash, wore a disguise, took precautions. Very professional. But they made a mistake. He pulled out a piece of fabric, dark cloth, maybe from a cloak. They left this behind. And it has a scent on it. A Silvercrest scent. My blood ran cold. You're saying? I'm saying whoever bought the poison to kill your alpha is in your pack. Silas leaned forward. Now, I don't particularly care about pack politics. Alphas rise and fall, packs destroy each other, that's the way of things. But I do care about my reputation. If word gets out that I sold poison that was used in an assassination, and I did nothing to follow up? Bad for business. Makes me look weak. So you want me to tell you who poisoned Damon? I want you to find out and report back. He opened the box. Inside, nestled in foam padding, was a single vial of clear liquid. This is your temporary antivenom. Synthetic, but it'll work. Give it to your alpha, and he'll wake up. He'll be weak, vulnerable, and he'll only have about 30 days before the poison kills him anyway. But he'll be conscious. And then what? I stared at the vial, at salvation in glass form. Even if I find out who poisoned him, what good does that do you? I eliminate my liability. Silas's smile was sharp. And maybe, just maybe, your alpha survives long enough to be grateful to the rogue who saved his life. Profitable relationships have been built on less. He was playing both sides. Selling the poison, then selling the cure. It was brilliant and disgusting. How do I know this is real? I asked. How do I know you're not just giving me water? You don't. He closed the box, holding it just out of reach. But you're out of options, out of time, and out of territory. So you'll take it on faith, or you'll leave empty-handed and watch your alpha die. Choose. I hated him. Hated everything about this situation. But he was right, I was out of choices. Fine, I said. Give me the antivenom. I'll find out who poisoned Damon. Good girl. Silas handed over the box. One more thing. The real Shadow Serpent antivenom? The permanent cure? There's only one place that has it. Let me guess. Nightshade territory. Alpha Kale's private gardens, to be specific. Silas's grin was all teeth. He keeps a Shadow Serpent there. Last one in existence, supposedly. Guards it like it's made of gold. Which, functionally, it is. Why are you telling me this? Because I like you, Omega. You've got spine. And because watching you try to steal from Kale Nightfall might be the most entertaining thing to happen in the Deadlands in years. He walked to the door, opening it. Now get out. And Omega? If Garrett's people catch you with that antivenom, tell them you stole it. Don't mention me. I don't exist. I clutched the box and ran. I should have gone straight back to Silvercrest territory. Should have taken the antivenom to Riley, woken Damon up, dealt with the immediate crisis. But Silas's words echoed in my mind. 30 days before the poison kills him anyway. Waking Damon wasn't enough. We needed the permanent cure. Which meant I needed to get into Nightshade territory, into Kale Nightfall's private gardens, and somehow steal venom from the last shadow serpent in existence. Insane. Completely insane. I altered course, heading west toward the border between the Deadlands and Nightshade Pack territory. The sun was high now, beating down on the dead landscape. I was exhausted, thirsty, and my feet screamed in protest with every step. The Nightshade border was marked with skulls. Wolf skulls, bleached white by sun and time, mounted on stakes driven into the ground. A clear message: cross at your own risk. I crossed. The change was immediate. Where the Deadlands had been dead, Nightshade territory was alive, but in a threatening way. The forest here was dense, dark, with trees so thick they blocked out most of the sunlight. Everything felt predatory. I heard movement in the underbrush, saw eyes glinting in the shadows. Nightshade wolves, watching me. I kept walking, heading toward where instinct told me the pack center would be. If Kale kept a shadow serpent in his private gardens, those gardens would be near his home. Near the heart of his territory. I made it maybe 3 miles before they caught me. 1 second the path was clear. The next, wolves materialized from the shadows, 6 of them, all in human form, all armed. They surrounded me in a classic tactical formation, cutting off every escape route. Well, one of them drawled. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with tribal tattoos running down his arms. What do we have here? A little Silvercrest Omega, trespassing where she doesn't belong. I raised my hands slowly, showing I wasn't armed. I request sanctuary under ancient law. I mean no harm to your pack. The man laughed. Sanctuary? In Nightshade territory? Sweetheart, we're not exactly known for our hospitality. Ancient law says. I know what ancient law says. A new voice cut through the clearing, and the wolves parted immediately. A man stepped forward, and every instinct I had screamed alpha. Kale Nightfall was nothing like Damon. Where Damon was all controlled power and aristocratic features, Kale was raw menace. He was huge, at least 6'4", with midnight black hair pulled back in a leather tie, brutal scars crossing his face and throat, and eyes so dark they looked black. He moved like violence barely contained, and when those eyes locked on mine, I felt pinned like a butterfly on a board. A Silvercrest Omega, he said slowly, his voice a dark rumble. Invoking sanctuary. How interesting. He tilted his head, nostrils flaring. And unless I'm mistaken, you smell like, Damon's former mate. The one he rejected. It wasn't a question. Somehow, he knew exactly who I was. My name is Mira Chen, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And yes, I request sanctuary. Denied. Kale's smile was sharp. Sanctuary is for those seeking refuge. You, little Omega, are here for something else entirely. I can smell the desperation on you. The fear. You're not running from something. You're running towards something. He moved closer, circling me slowly. I forced myself to stand still, to not show fear even though terror was clawing its way up my throat. This was Damon's greatest enemy, the Alpha who'd nearly destroyed Silvercrest 5 years ago. And I was alone, in his territory, completely at his mercy. Let me guess, Kale continued, still circling. Damon's not really dead. Someone poisoned him. You need an antidote. And you've heard that I have something you need in my gardens. He stopped directly in front of me. Am I close? My silence was answer enough. Kale threw his head back and laughed, the sound echoing through the trees. Oh, this is rich. You broke into my territory to steal from me. To save the man who rejected you, who threw you away like garbage. Why? Because someone tried to murder him, I said quietly. And I don't let murderers win. Something flickered in Kale's dark eyes. Respect? Curiosity? Interesting answer. Most would say, because I love him or because he's my alpha. But you're motivated by justice. He gestured to his wolves. Take her to the main house. I want to talk to this one. Alpha, if she's a spy, the tattooed man started. Then I'll know soon enough. Cale's tone brooked no argument. Move. They moved. Hands gripped my arms, not roughly, but firmly, and they guided me through the forest. We emerged into a clearing, and I saw Nightshade Pack's heart. It was nothing like Silvercrest. Where Silvercrest had elegant buildings and manicured gardens, Nightshade was raw and functional. The main house was more fortress than home, stone walls, narrow windows, defensive positions everywhere. Other buildings surrounded it in strategic locations. This was a pack that expected attack and was always ready. They brought me inside, through corridors that smelled of stone and steel, into a room that was clearly Cale's office. Maps covered the walls, territory markers, patrol routes, tactical information. A massive desk dominated the space, covered with papers and weapons. Cale dismissed his wolves with a gesture. They left, closing the door behind them. Suddenly I was alone with the Nightshade Alpha. Sit, he commanded, gesturing to a chair. I sat. The box with Silas's antivenom pressed against my ribs where I'd hidden it under my shirt. If Cale found it, this was over. So, Cale said, settling into the chair behind his desk. Damon Silvercrest was poisoned. Tell me, was it Wolfsbane Requiem? I couldn't hide my shock. How did you? Because it's the only poison clever enough, cruel enough, to nearly fool an entire pack into burying their alpha alive. Cale leaned back, studying me. And because I've been waiting for someone to try it. The question is, who had access to Damon long enough to administer it? I don't know, I admitted. But I need the antidote. The real one. I was told you have a shadow serpent. I do. Cale's smile was dangerous. In my private gardens. Most heavily guarded location in Nightshade territory. You'd have to be suicidal to try to steal from it. Or desperate. True. He stood, moving to a cabinet, pulling out 2 glasses and a bottle of amber liquid. Let me make you an offer, Mira Chen. I'll give you access to my shadow serpent. I'll even help you extract the venom you need, voluntarily given as the old texts require. Free of charge. It was too good to be true. What do you want in return? The truth. He poured 2 drinks, sliding one across the desk to me. Tell me what really happened to Damon. Not the official story about rogues. The truth. Tell me who you suspect poisoned him and why. I stared at the amber liquid, not touching it. Why do you care? You and Damon are enemies. You nearly killed each other 5 years ago. We did. Cale's expression went distant, remembering. And if I'd succeeded, the world would be a darker place. Damon Silvercrest is a lot of things, arrogant, controlling, self-righteous, but he's not corrupt. He doesn't compromise pack safety for personal gain. Which is more than I can say for most alphas. He sipped his drink. Including whoever's trying to replace him. You think it's Garrett. Don't you? Cale's eyes were sharp. Alpha-elect seizes power the moment Damon's declared dead. Blocks investigation into the death. Arrests you when you discover poison. Kills the healer who knew too much. Destroys evidence. Escalates border tensions to prevent you from getting help. He ticked off each point on his fingers. If it walks like a traitor and talks like a traitor. He was right. God help me, Cale Nightfall was right. Garrett had done everything possible to ensure Damon stayed dead and buried. Why help us? I asked. If Damon dies, doesn't that benefit you? One less enemy? Cale's laugh was bitter. You misunderstand our relationship. Damon and I aren't enemies because we hate each other. We're enemies because. He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. Because sometimes the people you care about most are the ones who hurt you worst. The room went very quiet. I found myself leaning forward, drawn by something in his voice. Old pain. Old betrayal. You were friends, I said slowly. Before the war. Friends. Brothers. Allies. Cale drained his glass. And then she came between us, and everything went to hell. She? Celine. The name came out like a curse. Damon's first mate. The woman who died 6 years ago, supposedly in childbirth. His eyes locked on mine. Except she didn't just die, did she? She was murdered. And your precious Alpha? He's the one who killed her. The world tilted. That's not possible. Damon wouldn't. Wouldn't he? Cale moved around the desk, fast, getting into my space. Tell me, little Omega. What did you see 2 years ago that made him reject you? What terrible truth did you stumble on that he couldn't let you know? I couldn't breathe. The warehouse. The body. Damon standing over it, hands red with blood. You weren't supposed to see this. You saw him kill someone, Cale said softly, reading my face. And he threw you away to keep you quiet. To keep you from asking questions. Just like he killed Celine when she discovered the truth about. He cut himself off abruptly, shaking his head. About what? I demanded. What truth? That's not my story to tell. Cale backed away, suddenly looking tired. But I'll tell you this, Damon Silvercrest has secrets that go deeper than you can imagine. Secrets that powerful people want to keep buried. Secrets worth killing for. He moved to the window, staring out at his territory. When you wake him up, and I assume you have some temporary solution hidden on you somewhere, ask him about Celine. Ask him what really happened the night she died. Ask him about the child. My heart stopped. What child? Cale turned, and his smile was terrible. Celine was pregnant when she died. Did you know that? Carrying Damon's heir. The baby supposedly died with her. But Celine made me a promise before she disappeared. She said if anything happened to her, I should protect the child. Keep it safe from Damon. Keep it hidden. This doesn't make any sense, I whispered. If Damon killed her, why would she want you to protect their child from him? Unless the child wasn't his, Cale finished quietly. Unless the heir to Silvercrest Pack isn't Damon's blood at all. Unless everything, the war, the rejection, the murder, it's all connected to a secret that could destroy everything Damon's built. I felt like I was falling. Nothing made sense anymore. Damon a murderer? A child that wasn't his? Secrets and lies stretching back years? I don't believe you, I said, but it sounded weak even to my own ears. You don't have to believe me. Cale pulled a key from his pocket, pressing it into my hand. This opens the garden gate. The shadow serpent's habitat is in the back, near the moon fountain. Tell her I sent you, her name is Shadow, creative I know, and ask nicely. She'll give you what you need. Just like that? You're just giving me access. Just like that. He moved to the door, opening it. Because I want Damon Silvercrest to wake up. I want him to have to face what he's done. And I want him to know that I know the truth. All of it. He paused in the doorway. Tell him when he wakes, tell him I know about the child. Tell him Celine kept her promise. Tell him that reckoning is coming, and this time, he won't be able to run from it. I don't understand any of this. You will. Cale's expression was unreadable. The gardens are east of here. My wolves will escort you to the border, they won't bother you. After that, you're on your own. Go save your Alpha, little Omega. And when he wakes up. His smile was sharp as broken glass. Ask him why he really rejected you. I guarantee the answer isn't what you think. He left, and I stood there in his office, clutching the key, my world turned upside down. A child. A murder. Secrets that could destroy everything. And somewhere, back in Silvercrest territory, Damon was dying, trapped in darkness, unaware that his past was about to catch up with him. I had the anti-venom. Both temporary and permanent. I had the means to save his life. But as I followed Kale's wolves through Nightshade territory, heading toward those private gardens and the shadow serpent within, one question burned through my mind. Did I really want to save a man who might be a murderer? A man whose secrets had already cost so many lives? Yes, something whispered inside me. Because you need the truth. And the only way to get it is to wake him up and make him tell you everything. The gardens appeared ahead, lush and green and beautiful. The shadow serpent waited inside, salvation in reptilian form. I used Kale's key and stepped through the gate, into a world of secrets and lies, carrying the power to save or condemn the man I'd never stopped loving. And somewhere behind me, I swore I heard Kale Nightfall laughing. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The shadow serpent was beautiful and terrible. She lay coiled in a heated enclosure, scales like liquid midnight, eyes that glowed faint silver in the dim light. When I approached, she raised her head, tongue flickering, tasting the air. Shadow, I said quietly, remembering Kale's words. He sent me. I need your help. The serpent watched me for a long moment. Then, impossibly, she seemed to nod. She moved to a small dish mounted on the enclosure wall and bit down on a special membrane there. Clear liquid, venom, dripped into the collection vial below. Voluntarily given, the old texts had said. And here it was. I collected the vial with shaking hands, added it to the box with Silas's synthetic antivenom, and ran. The journey back to Silvercrest territory took 3 hours. 3 hours of running through wilderness, jumping at every sound, certain that Garrett's wolves would find me. But either Riley had managed to cover my escape well, or Garrett was too busy preparing for his challenge ceremony to spare resources hunting 1 Omega. I used the same hidden tunnel to get back in, emerging near the healing house just as the sun began to set. The building was dark, crime scene tape across the door. Meredith's blood was still visible on the steps, dark and damning. I couldn't go there. Couldn't risk being seen. Instead, I sent a quick text to Riley, I'm back. Meet me at the old cabin. The old cabin was a ruin on the far edge of Pack territory, abandoned years ago when the family living there had moved to better housing. Riley and I had played there as children, back when Damon and I were newly mated and his little sister had adopted me as a friend. I waited in the darkness, clutching the box of antivenoms, every nerve on fire. What if Riley had been arrested? What if Garrett had found out she helped me? What if? The door creaked open. Riley slipped inside, and I nearly sobbed with relief. Thank God, she breathed, pulling me into a fierce hug. I thought you were dead. When you didn't come back, when hours passed. I'm fine. I got it. I pulled back, showing her the box. Both antivenoms. Synthetic and real. We can wake him up, Riley. We can save him. Her eyes widened. How? The Nightshade borders were supposed to be locked down. I went there. To Nightshade territory. Kale Nightfall gave me what I needed. He gave you, Riley shook her head. That doesn't make sense. Why would Kale help us? Because he wants Damon awake. I set the box on the rickety table. And because he knows things, Riley. About Celine. About a child. He said to tell Damon that Celine kept her promise, and that he knows about. Stop. Riley's face had gone white. We can't talk about this here. The cabin might be abandoned, but it's not safe. Someone could be listening. She grabbed the box. We need to get to Damon. They moved him to the Alpha's residence, under guard, supposedly for his protection. Garrett stationed wolves outside his room. How are we supposed to get past them? Riley's smile was sharp. Because one of those guards is Marcus, and Marcus has 3 kids who are all alive because you helped his mate through a complicated delivery. He owes you. She checked her phone. The challenge ceremony is tomorrow at noon. Garrett's making his formal claim to the Alpha position. If we don't wake Damon before then Garrett wins. I straightened my shoulders. Let's go. We moved through the pack grounds like ghosts, using shadows and side paths, avoiding the main areas where wolves gathered. The Alpha's residence loomed ahead, a beautiful stone building that had been Damon's home, his sanctuary. 2 guards stood outside his room. Marcus and a younger wolf I didn't recognize. When Marcus saw me, his eyes widened, then quickly went neutral. Miss Riley, he said formally. I'm afraid the Alpha-elect has ordered no visitors. The Alpha-elect doesn't give me orders, Riley said coldly. I'm visiting my brother. You can either let me in, or you can explain to the council why you prevented the Alpha's heir from seeing him. The younger guard looked uncertain. Marcus sighed. 5 minutes, he said quietly. That's all I can give you without raising suspicion. Make it count. Thank you, I whispered as we passed. He caught my arm briefly. Thank you for saving my family, Mira. I haven't forgotten. Then we were inside, and the door closed behind us, and I was finally seeing Damon again. He lay in his own bed, in the room I'd once shared with him, looking like death. The black veins had spread further, visible now on his face, his throat, his hands. His breathing was so shallow it was almost imperceptible. The room smelled of sickness and something else, something wrong, like decay. Oh, goddess, Riley whispered. He's worse. So much worse than before. She was right. Even in the short time I'd been gone, the poison had progressed. We were running out of time. I knelt beside the bed, pulling out the antivenoms with shaking hands. Which one first? The synthetic to wake him up, then the real one to cure him? I don't know. Riley was reading something on her phone, notes she'd taken from Meredith's research before it was destroyed. Meredith's notes said the synthetic would wake him but leave him vulnerable. The real antivenom needs to be administered while he's conscious, so his body can process it properly. But mixing them wrong could kill him. So synthetic first, then real once he's awake. I uncapped the synthetic antivenom, Silas's vial, and drew it into a syringe Riley had brought. Here goes everything. I found a vein in Damon's arm, not easy, with his blood pressure so low, and pushed the antivenom slowly. The clear liquid vanished into his bloodstream, and then we waited. Nothing happened. Seconds crawled by like hours. The black veins remained. Damon's breathing didn't change. He lay there, still as death, and I felt hope starting to crumble. It's not working, I said. Riley, it's not. Damon's eyes snapped open, glowing that toxic gold, and he lunged. I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. Damon was on his feet, moving with inhuman speed despite his weakened state, his face twisted into something animal and wrong. His wolf was in control, and it didn't recognize anything except threat. Damon, stop! Riley shouted, but he wasn't hearing her. His eyes were locked on me, predatory, lethal. He grabbed me by the throat, again, always the throat, and slammed me against the wall. The impact drove the air from my lungs. His fingers tightened, cutting off blood flow, and I saw stars. This is it, I thought distantly. I save his life, and he kills me anyway. Poetic, really. But I couldn't let it end like this. Not when we were so close. I stopped fighting. Stopped struggling. Instead, I reached for that thread, that tiny, gossamer connection that had never fully severed, and I pulled. I opened myself completely, dropping every wall I'd built over 2 years of rejection and pain. I let him feel everything. The love I'd never stopped feeling. The grief of losing him. The loneliness. The hope that maybe, somehow, he'd come back to me. The fear that he wouldn't. The determination to save him anyway, even if he never loved me back. I showed him the warehouse. The body. The blood on his hands. My terror. My confusion. And underneath it all, the devastating truth, would have stood by you. Whatever you'd done, whatever happened, would have helped you. But you never gave me the chance. The thread burned between us, carrying 2 years of buried emotion in a single overwhelming wave. Damon's grip on my throat loosened. The toxic gold faded from his eyes, replaced by confusion, then recognition, then horror. Mira? His voice was rough, broken. Goddess, Mira, what? He dropped me. I collapsed, coughing, gasping for air. Riley was there immediately, helping me up, checking my throat for damage. Damon backed away, staring at his hands like they belonged to a stranger. I hurt you. Again. His voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay, I managed, though my throat was screaming. You weren't yourself. The poison. Poison? He looked around the room wildly, taking in the medical supplies, the vials, his sister's presence. What's happening? Where am I? You're home, Riley said gently. Brother, sit down. You've been poisoned. You've been in a death state for almost 4 days. Damon sat on the edge of the bed, looking lost. In the lamplight, I could see how much the poison had cost him. He'd lost weight, his skin was too pale, and those black veins stood out like dark cracks in marble. 4 days, he repeated. The last thing I remember is I was in my office, arguing with Garrett about the PAC's investment portfolio. He wanted to move funds around, and something about it felt wrong. I told him no, and he got angry. Then he pressed a hand to his head. Then nothing. Everything goes black. Riley and I exchanged looks. Garrett. Of course it had been Garrett. What's the last time stamp you remember? I asked. What day was it? Tuesday. Early afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock. Damon looked at me, really looked at me, and something in his expression made my heart ache. Why are you here, Mira? After everything I did to you, why would you? Because someone poisoned you with Wolfsbane Requiem, I interrupted, not ready to address the emotions churning between us. They made it look like a rogue attack. The PAC held your funeral 3 days after the attack. They were about to burn you alive on a pyre when I felt your heartbeat through our bond and stopped them. Damon's face went white. The bond. The one I tried to sever. Didn't work, I said quietly. There was always a thread left. Thin, but there. That's how I knew you weren't dead. And the funeral. Garrett put you in a casket, Riley said, her voice hard. You were conscious but paralyzed. You tried to claw your way out. We found the marks on the inside of the lid. I watched Damon process this, watched the horror bloom across his face as he realized what had almost happened. They'd almost burned him alive. He would have been conscious for all of it, trapped in his own body, feeling the flames. Garrett, he said softly. Then louder, with rage building, Garrett. He's declared himself Alpha-elect, Riley continued. He's been systematically destroying evidence, eliminating anyone who knew about the poison. The healer who examined you? Murdered. All her notes? Stolen. The ingredients we needed for the antidote? Destroyed. He's blocked every possible way to save you. Except we did save you, I added. I got antivenom. Synthetic to wake you up, real to cure you. But Damon, you need to know, the real antivenom came from Cale Nightfall. Damon's head snapped up. Cale? You went to Nightshade territory? He helped me. Gave me access to his shadow serpent, voluntary venom and everything. I pulled out the vial with the real antivenom. But he sent a message. He said to tell you, I know about the child. Celine kept her promise. The color drained from Damon's face so completely I thought he might pass out. He stood abruptly, swaying, and Riley caught his arm to steady him. No, he breathed. No, he can't, she wouldn't. Brother, what's going on? Riley demanded. What child? What did Celine promise? Damon looked at both of us, and I saw the exact moment he decided to stop running from the truth. His shoulders sagged. He suddenly looked decades older. Sit down, he said quietly. Both of you. It's time you knew everything. We sat. Damon remained standing, pacing like a caged animal, gathering his thoughts. When he finally spoke, his voice was flat, emotionless, the only way he could get through it. 6 years ago, Garrett approached me with a business proposal. He wanted to partner with a witch, Morgana Delane, to expand our territory and resources. I said no. Witches and wolves have a complicated history, and something about the whole thing felt wrong. He paused, staring at nothing. A month later, I met Celine. Riley's sharp intake of breath told me this was news to her too. She was beautiful. Charming. Everything I thought I wanted in a mate. We bonded quickly, too quickly, I realize now. Within 3 months, we were mated. Within 6 months, she was pregnant. His hands clenched into fists. I was so happy. So stupidly, blindly happy. What happened? I asked softly. Cale. Damon's expression twisted. Cale Nightfall and I were allies back then. Friends. He was investigating some rogues who'd been causing trouble along our shared border, and he found something. Evidence that Morgana Delane was working with someone inside my pack to destabilize Silvercrest from within. He brought it to me. Garrett, Riley breathed. And Celine. Damon's voice cracked. The evidence was damning. Emails. Financial records. Magical tracings. Celine wasn't some random wolf who wandered into my territory. She was planted there. By Garrett and Morgana. Her job was to mate with me, get pregnant, and then they'd have leverage. Control. I felt sick. The baby wasn't mine. He said it flatly, but I heard the devastation underneath. I confronted Celine. She laughed. Said I was such an easy mark, so desperate for a perfect mate that I never questioned anything. She said the child was Garrett's, they'd been lovers for years. The plan was for her to carry the baby to term, then die in childbirth. Garrett would take the child, raise it in secret, and when the time was right, reveal him as my legitimate heir. As regent for the child, Garrett would have complete control of Silvercrest. That's insane, Riley said. The pack would never accept. They would if I was dead or discredited. Damon laughed bitterly. Which was the next part of the plan? Morgana had a spell prepared, something that would frame me for multiple murders. Rogue attacks that would be traced back to me. Evidence that would destroy my reputation and my pack. With me gone and a legitimate heir, in need of protection, Garrett would step in as the caring cousin, the reluctant leader. But you found out, I said. I found out. His eyes went distant, remembering. I confronted all 3 of them, Celine, Garrett, and Morgana, at the old warehouse on the eastern border. It went badly. Morgana attacked me. She was powerful, and I was. I was out of control. My wolf took over. When the rage cleared, she was dead. Throat torn out. Blood everywhere. The warehouse. The body. Everything suddenly made terrible sense. And I showed up, I whispered. I saw you standing over the body. You were never supposed to be there. Damon finally looked at me, his eyes full of ancient pain. You followed me because you were worried. Because you loved me. And you saw me at my absolute worst, hands red with blood, standing over a corpse like a monster. You said I wasn't supposed to see it. Because it was the truth. You weren't supposed to see what I was capable of. Weren't supposed to know about the conspiracy, about the danger. Morgana was dead, but Celine and Garrett were still out there. They knew you'd seen the body. They knew you might start asking questions. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. So I made a choice. I rejected you publicly, humiliated you, made sure everyone thought you were weak and worthless. I made you someone they wouldn't bother targeting. The world tilted. You rejected me to protect me? I rejected you because I loved you too much to watch them kill you. The words burst out of him, raw and desperate. Morgana was dead, but her coven was still active. Garrett was still plotting. Celine was still pregnant with a child she'd use as a weapon. And you were this bright, beautiful thing that I'd dragged into darkness. The only way to keep you safe was to make you irrelevant. To make you someone who didn't matter. Tears streamed down my face. 2 years. 2 years of thinking I wasn't enough, thinking I was too weak, too broken. 2 years of carrying rejection like a stone in my chest. You could have told me, I said. You could have trusted me. I know. His voice broke. I know, and I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you, but all I did was hurt you. And then I had to watch you suffer, watch you fade into the background, watch you become a ghost in your own life. It killed me, Mira. Every single day. What happened to Celine? Riley asked, her voice shaking. You said she died in childbirth. She disappeared. Damon turned to his sister. 3 months after the warehouse incident, she vanished. Left a note saying she couldn't handle being in the pack anymore, that she was leaving. A week later, we got word from a hospital that a Jane Doe matching her description had died giving birth. Massive hemorrhage. The body was badly damaged. Burned in the hospital fire. We never got a positive ID. You think she faked her death, I said. I know she did. Damon's certainty was absolute. Because Cale told me, a month after her supposed death, that Celine had come to him. Made him promise to protect the child if anything happened to her. He agreed, because he's Cale and he has his own sense of honor. But he didn't tell me where she was or where the child was hidden. Until now, Riley said slowly. His message. Celine kept her promise. He's saying. The child is alive. Damon sank onto the bed, looking defeated. Garrett has been raising my supposed son somewhere in secret. Waiting for the perfect moment to reveal him. And now. He laughed, a broken sound. Now he's poisoned me, staged my death, and he's hours away from claiming Alpha rights as regent for the heir. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. The rogue attack that wasn't really an attack. The Wolfsbane requiem that would have killed Damon slowly, giving Garrett time to consolidate power. The systematic destruction of evidence. The challenge ceremony scheduled for tomorrow. The ceremony, I said. Riley, what time is it scheduled? Noon tomorrow. She checked her phone. Which is in less than 12 hours. Garrett's probably spreading the word now, Damon said. Telling the pack about the heir. Building support. By the time the ceremony happens, everyone will believe him. He looked at me. And I'm too weak to fight him. The poison. Can be cured. I held up the vial with the real antivenom. Cale's shadow serpent. Voluntarily given venom. This is the permanent cure, Damon. We can heal you completely. How long will it take? I don't know. The text said it works fast, but you're weakened. And even with the antivenom, you're going to need time to recover. I moved closer, syringe ready. But we don't have time. If Garrett reveals that child tomorrow, he wins. Damon's jaw set. Even if I show up alive, he'll have the trump card. A child, my heir, who needs protection. The pack will see me as the alpha who abandoned his son. They'll see Garrett as the caring cousin who stepped in when I failed. Then we expose him, Riley said fiercely. We tell everyone the truth. About the conspiracy. About Morgana. About the fake child. With what proof? Damon shook his head. Morgana's dead. Celine's vanished. The evidence Cale found 6 years ago is gone, Garrett made sure of it. It'll be my word against his, and I'm the one who just came back from the dead after being poisoned. I'll look weak. Paranoid. Desperate. He was right, and we all knew it. Garrett had planned this perfectly. Even with Damon alive, even with the truth on our side, we had no evidence. No proof. Nothing that would convince a pack to reject their alpha-elect and the miraculous heir he'd been protecting. There has to be something, I said desperately. Some way to prove. Damon's hand closed over mine, warm and alive. Give me the antivenom. Whatever happens tomorrow, I'd rather face it whole than broken. I administered the real antivenom slowly, watching the clear liquid enter his bloodstream. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Damon gasped, his back arching, his hands gripping the bedsheets. The black veins under his skin began to recede. Not quickly, it was a slow retreat, like poison being drawn out by inches. But it was working. Color returned to his face. His breathing deepened. The deathly pallor faded. It's working, Riley breathed. Mira, it's actually working. Damon collapsed back onto the bed, exhausted but alive. When he opened his eyes, they were clear, no toxic gold, no confusion. Just him, fully present for the first time in days. Thank you, he said, looking at me. For everything. For believing in me when no one else did. For risking your life to save mine. For, his voice caught. For still being here after everything I did to you. We're not done yet, I said, though my heart was hammering. Garrett still has his ceremony. He still has that child. We need a plan. I have a plan. Damon sat up slowly, testing his strength. But you're not going to like it. Try me. His smile was sharp and dangerous, the alpha I remembered, the one who'd built Silvercrest into a powerhouse. We let Garrett have his ceremony. We let him present the child. We let him think he's won. Brother, Riley started. And then, Damon continued, we reveal the one thing Garrett doesn't know we have. The one piece of evidence that will destroy his entire plan. What evidence? I demanded. You said yourself there's no proof. There's one proof. Damon's eyes locked on mine. You. Your testimony about what you saw at the warehouse. The body. The blood. And more importantly, he pulled out his phone, fingers flying over the screen. The security footage I had installed in that warehouse after the incident. Footage I never told anyone about, including Garrett. He turned the phone screen toward us. Grainy video showed the interior of the warehouse. 3 figures, Celine, Garrett, and a woman I didn't recognize who must be Morgana. They were arguing with someone off-screen. Damon. I wasn't just standing over a body when you found me, Damon said quietly. I just fought for my life against a witch who was trying to frame me for murder. And the entire thing was recorded. He touched the screen, and audio crackled to life. Garrett's voice, clear as day, once the spell is complete, they'll think you killed them all. Your pack will turn on you, and Celine's child will be the perfect excuse for me to take control. This is insane, Damon's recorded voice. You'll never get away with it. We already have, Celine's laugh. The child is Garrett's. Always was. And when you're dead or discredited, he'll be the caring cousin raising your heir. The pack will eat it up. The video cut off. Riley and I stared at the phone in shock. You've had this for 6 years? I whispered. I've had it for 6 years. Damon's expression was grim. I kept it as insurance, in case Garrett ever tried something. I just never thought he'd be patient enough to wait this long. He stood, steadier now, the antivenom clearly working. Tomorrow, at the ceremony, we let Garrett present his heir. We let him make his claims. And then we play this video for the entire pack and watch his world burn. It was brilliant. Dangerous, but brilliant. There's one problem, Riley said. Where's the video stored? If it's on your phone, Garrett could. It's in 3 locations, Damon interrupted. Cloud storage under a fake name, a physical drive hidden in this room, and a copy with Elder Marcus. He looked at his sister. Marcus has been suspicious of Garrett for months. He'll keep it safe. Then we have a plan. I felt something like hope blooming in my chest. We show up tomorrow. We let Garrett think he's won. And then we destroy him. Damon moved closer to me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his skin, alive, no longer death cold. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Tomorrow, when this is over, when Garrett's been exposed and the pack is safe. He cupped my face gently, his thumb brushing over the bruises on my throat, bruises he'd put there, twice. Let me try to make this right. Let me explain everything. Let me earn back even a fraction of your trust. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to fall into his arms and pretend the last 2 years hadn't happened. But I couldn't. Not yet. First we survive tomorrow, I said. Then we'll talk about the rest. It wasn't a no. It wasn't a yes. But it was honest, and right now, that was all I could offer. A knock at the door made us all freeze. Marcus's voice came through, urgent, Alpha? There are wolves coming. Garrett sent a patrol to check on you. You have maybe 2 minutes. Mira, Riley, you need to leave, Damon said quickly. If Garrett finds you here. Where do we go? Riley demanded. The old cabin where we hid before, I said. We'll wait there until morning. No. Damon grabbed paper and pen, scrawling something quickly. Go to this address. It's a safe house I keep off pack lands. No one knows about it except me. You'll be safe there until the ceremony. He pressed the paper into my hand, then pulled me close, pressing his forehead against mine for one brief, electric moment. Stay alive, he whispered. Please. I just got you back. I can't lose you again. Same goes for you. I pulled away reluctantly. Don't die between now and tomorrow. Wouldn't dream of it. Riley and I slipped out the window just as heavy footsteps approached the door. We ran into the darkness, heading for the address Damon had given us, carrying the weight of tomorrow's confrontation and the truth that would either save or destroy us all. Behind us, I heard Garrett's voice, Cousin. I heard you were awake. What a miracle. We have so much to discuss. The door closed, cutting off the rest. Riley and I ran faster, hearts pounding, the ceremony and its reckoning waiting for us at noon. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The safe house was a small cottage hidden deep in neutral woods, far enough from pack territory that we could breathe without fear of immediate discovery. Riley collapsed onto the worn couch while I paced, too wired to sit still. We have 8 hours until the ceremony, Riley said, checking her phone. Damon needs to be strong enough to face Garrett, or this whole plan falls apart. The antivenom is working, I argued, though doubt gnawed at me. He was already looking better when we left. Better isn't enough. Riley's voice was blunt. Garrett's been preparing for this challenge for 6 years. He's strong, well-fed, and rested. Damon just came back from the edge of death. Even with the antivenom, he's been weakened for days. His wolf will be depleted. His strength compromised. She was right. I'd felt it when Damon touched me, the tremor in his hands, the way standing had cost him effort. The antivenom had cured the poison, but it couldn't instantly restore what 4 days of death state had stolen. There has to be something we can do, I said desperately. Some way to help him. Riley was quiet for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. Then, there is one way. But it's complicated. Tell me. A mate bond restoration ceremony. She met my eyes. When Damon rejected you, he tried to sever your bond completely. It didn't work. You've both been living with that thin thread for 2 years. But what if you completed the bond? What if you restored it fully, the way it was meant to be? My heart stuttered. What would that do? Mate bonds are power sources, Riley explained. When 2 wolves are fully bonded, they share strength, healing, life force. If you and Damon completed your bond, your strength would flow into him. It wouldn't make him invincible, but it would help. It could be the difference between winning and losing. Then we do it. The decision came easily, naturally. Tell me what we need. Mira, wait. Riley stood, gripping my shoulders. You need to understand what you're agreeing to. A mate bond restoration isn't like the original bonding. It's deeper. More intense. When you complete it, every wall comes down. Every secret is laid bare. You'll see everything, every memory, every thought, every dark corner of his soul that he's tried to hide from you. And he'll see all of yours. Good, I said fiercely. I'm tired of secrets. Tired of half-truths and lies. If we're going to do this, if we're going to face Garrett and Celine and whatever else is coming, I want to know everything. Riley searched my face, looking for doubt. Finding none, she nodded slowly. Okay. We'll need a few things. Moonlight, which we have. Sacred herbs, I think there are some in the cabinet here. And... She hesitated. And you'll need to be absolutely sure, Mira. Once the bond is completed, it's permanent. Forever. Even death won't break it. I know. And I did. Some part of me had always known this was inevitable, that despite the rejection, despite the pain, Damon and I were meant to be joined. What do I need to do? We spent the next hour preparing. Riley found sage and lavender in the cottage's surprisingly well-stocked herb cabinet. We cleared a space in the small bedroom, opened the window to let in moonlight, and drew the traditional symbols on the floor with chalk. I need to contact Damon, Riley said. Tell him what we're planning. He has to consent, or the ceremony won't work. She stepped outside to make the call, giving me privacy to prepare myself. I stared at the symbols on the floor, ancient marks that had been used for centuries to bind wolf souls together. In a few hours, these symbols would either save us or reveal truths that destroyed us. Riley returned, her expression unreadable. He said no. What? He refused. She showed me her phone, Damon's text message clear. I won't bind her to me like this. Not after everything I've done. Find another way. Fury rose in my chest, hot and cleansing. Give me your phone. Riley handed it over. I dialed Damon's number, and he picked up on the first ring. Riley, I told you. It's me, I cut him off. And I don't care what you told Riley. We're doing this. Silence. Then, Mira, you don't understand what you're asking for. I understand perfectly. I kept my voice steady despite the emotions churning inside. You're weak. Garrett's strong. Without help, you'll lose. And if you lose, he wins. He gets the pack, he gets to keep lying about that child, and Celine gets to attack us when we're most vulnerable. Is that what you want? Of course not, but... Then stop being noble and let me help you. The words burst out, raw and desperate. For 2 years, you made decisions for me. You rejected me to protect me. You pushed me away to save me. You hurt me because you thought it was best. Well, guess what? I'm done letting you decide what I can handle. This is my choice. I choose to bond with you. I choose to see your secrets. I choose to stand beside you, whatever comes. So stop treating me like I'm fragile and accept my help. Another long silence. When Damon spoke again, his voice was rough with emotion. You're sure? Once we do this, you'll see things, terrible things. You'll know exactly what kind of monster I am. You're not a monster, I said softly. You're a man who made impossible choices in impossible circumstances. And I want to understand. I need to understand. Let me in, Damon. Finally, completely, let me in. Goddess help me, he breathed. I can't refuse you anything. Never could. A pause. What do you need me to do? Riley took the phone, giving him instructions. The ceremony required both parties to be in moonlight, speaking the ancient words at the same time. Damon would perform his half at the Alpha's residence. We'd perform ours here. The moon would carry our intentions, binding us across distance. 1 hour, Riley said, checking the moon's position. When it reaches its apex, we begin. We had 1 hour to prepare for something that would change everything. I stood in the center of the chalk symbols as the moon climbed higher, wearing the simple white dress Riley had found in the cottage closet. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. No going back. Riley lit the sage, and smoke curled through the room, carrying the sharp scent of purification. She began to chant softly in the old language, words I didn't fully understand but felt in my bones. When the moon reaches apex, she said, speak the binding words. They'll come to you naturally. Your wolf will know them. The moonlight intensified, streaming through the window like liquid silver. I felt it touch my skin, warm and alive. Somewhere across the distance, Damon would be feeling the same thing. The apex arrived. I felt it in my soul, a moment of perfect alignment. I call upon the moon, I said, and the words did come naturally, flowing from some ancient place inside me. Witness and guardian of our kind. I offer my strength, my life, my soul, to restore what was broken. I choose Damon Silvercrest as my mate, my partner, my equal. Through darkness and light, through pain and joy, through this life and beyond. I bind myself to him, freely given, freely taken. Power surged through me, electric and overwhelming. The thin thread that had connected us for 2 years suddenly blazed to life, growing thick and strong, pulsing with energy. I gasped as it tightened, pulling, connecting, joining. And then I was falling into Damon's mind. The memories hit me like a tidal wave. I saw everything, felt everything, lived his experiences as if they were my own. The warehouse. Morgana's attack. The witch's power tearing at him, dark magic trying to rip his soul apart. Fighting back in desperation, his wolf taking over, teeth finding her throat. The taste of blood. The horror of killing. Standing over her body, hands shaking, thinking, what have I become? Then my arrival. Seeing me in the doorway, my face white with shock. Knowing in that instant that he'd lost me, that I'd never look at him the same way again. The devastating choice, let me stay and risk Garrett targeting me, or push me away so completely that I'd be beneath notice. The rejection ceremony. Every cruel word scripted in advance, practiced until they sounded natural. Watching my face crumble, feeling my pain through the bond, hating himself with every breath. But doing it anyway because Garrett had made his threat clear, drive her out, or I'll make sure she has an accident. Something tragic. Something permanent. 2 years of watching me from a distance. Seeing me fade into the background, becoming a ghost of who I'd been. Wanting desperately to reach out, to explain, to take it all back. But knowing that revealing the truth would put me in immediate danger. The poisoning. Garrett's smile as he offered a drink. Taking it without question because Garrett was family, was trusted. The first sip tasting wrong. The second sip making his throat burn. The third sip that he never finished because he was already falling, already paralyzed. Garrett's voice, cold and satisfied, should have rejected her years ago, cousin. Should have chosen power over love. Now you get to experience the consequences. The darkness. 3 days of being trapped in his own body, conscious but immobile. Feeling them prepare his body for burial. Hearing the funeral prayers. Trying desperately to move, to scream, to warn them. The casket closing. The terrible, suffocating darkness. Clawing uselessly at the lid, knowing they were going to burn him alive, knowing he'd feel every second of it. Then my voice. My hand on the casket. My scream that stopped them. The bond suddenly flaring to life, stronger than it had been in years, because I was fighting for him, refusing to accept his death. Hope blooming in the darkness, she's still here. She still cares. Maybe I haven't lost her completely. I came back to myself gasping, tears streaming down my face. The bond burned between us, fully restored, stronger than before. I could feel Damon on the other end, his relief, his love, his desperate hope that I could forgive him. And I could feel something else. Through our bond, strength was flowing from me to him. My energy, my vitality, pouring into his depleted reserves. The antivenom had cured the poison, but this was giving him back what 4 days of death state had stolen. It's done, Riley breathed, staring at me with wide eyes. Mira, your eyes, they're glowing. I looked down at my hands and saw faint silver light emanating from my skin. The moon's power, channeled through the bond, amplifying our connection. Is this normal? I asked. I don't know. Riley's voice held wonder and a trace of fear. I've never seen anything like this. The bond should be strong, but this is something else. My phone rang. Damon's name on the screen. I answered with shaking hands. Did it work? I asked. It worked. His voice was stronger, vital in a way it hadn't been before. Goddess, Mira, I can feel you. Everything. Your strength, your determination, his voice caught. You saw it all. Everything I did. Everything I am. And you still chose to bind yourself to me. I saw a man making impossible choices to protect the people he loves, I said firmly. I saw sacrifice and pain and terrible guilt. But I didn't see a monster, Damon. I saw you. And yes, I still choose you. I don't deserve you. Probably not, I agreed, and heard his surprised laugh. But you're stuck with me now. The bond is permanent, remember? Best mistake I ever made. His tone shifted, becoming serious. The ceremony is in 6 hours. Garrett's already spreading word about the heir. Half the pack is gathering to meet the child. Mira, this is it. If we don't expose him today. We will, I promised. We have the video. We have Cale's evidence. We have each other. Garrett doesn't know what's coming. There's something else. Damon's voice dropped. I just got word from Marcus. Cale Nightfall is on his way here. He says he has information that will change everything. He's requesting permission to attend the ceremony. Riley and I exchanged glances. That's not normal, she said. Enemy alphas don't just show up to challenge ceremonies. No, they don't, Damon agreed. Which means whatever Cale knows, it's important enough to break protocol. I've granted him safe passage. He'll be here by noon. Then so will we. I looked out at the moon, still bright and full overhead. It's time to end this, Damon. All of it. The lies, the conspiracy, the threats. Today, we take back your pack and your life. Our pack, he corrected gently. And our life. We're bonded now, Mira. That makes you Luna. Whether the pack knows it yet or not. Luna. The word sent a shiver through me. 2 years ago, I'd thought that title would be mine. Then I'd lost it in the rejection. Now, impossibly, it was mine again. Get some rest, Damon continued. You're going to need your strength. And Mira? Thank you. For believing in me. For saving me. For choosing me when you had every reason to walk away. Always, I said simply. Now and forever. I hung up and turned to Riley, who was watching me with an unreadable expression. What? I asked. You're different, she said slowly. Since the bonding. There's something. I don't know. Something powerful about you. Like the moon itself is inside you. I looked down at my hands again. The silver glow had faded, but I could still feel it, power humming just beneath my skin, waiting to be called. We should rest, I said, though I knew sleep would be impossible. Long day ahead. Riley nodded and retreated to the couch. I lay down on the bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling Damon through the bond. His determination. His fear. His love. I'm with you, I sent through the bond. Whatever happens, we face it together. Together, he agreed. Always. Noon arrived too quickly and not quickly enough. Riley and I returned to pack territory as the sun reached its apex, blending into the crowd gathering at the central clearing. Hundreds of wolves filled the space, every member of Silvercrest who could walk was there, plus visiting wolves from allied packs. Word had spread about the miracle air, and everyone wanted to see. A platform had been erected at the clearing center. Garrett stood there in ceremonial robes, looking every inch the confident alpha. Beside him stood a small boy, maybe 5 years old, with dark hair and delicate features. Ethan. The supposed heir. My heart broke looking at him. This child was innocent in all this. Raised by Garrett, fed lies about his heritage, used as a pawn in a conspiracy he couldn't possibly understand. People of Silvercrest, Garrett's voice boomed across the clearing. Thank you for gathering on this momentous day. As you know, our beloved Alpha Damon Silvercrest was tragically killed by rogues 4 days ago. We mourned him. We honored him. We said goodbye. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some wolves looked skeptical, they'd been there when I stopped the funeral. But others nodded, accepting Garrett's narrative. However, Garrett continued, before his untimely death, Alpha Damon left us a precious gift. A son. An heir. He placed his hand on Ethan's shoulder. This is Ethan Silvercrest, born to Damon and his first mate Celine. For his safety, I've been raising him in secret, protecting him from those who would harm our Alpha's bloodline. But now, with Damon gone, it's time for Ethan to take his rightful place. He's good, Riley muttered beside me. Making himself look like the protective guardian instead of the scheming usurper. Ethan is too young to lead, Garrett said solemnly. Therefore, I am formally challenging for the position of Alpha, with the intention of serving as regent until Ethan comes of age. I do this not for power, but out of duty to my cousin's memory and love for his son. More murmurs. Some wolves looked moved. Others uncertain. The pack was divided. As per tradition, Garrett announced, any wolf who wishes to challenge my claim has until the sun moves 3 degrees to step forward. If no challenge comes, I will be declared Alpha by. I challenge. The voice rang across the clearing like a bell. Every head turned. Damon stepped out of the crowd, and the gathering erupted in shock. Wolves gasped, some screaming, others backing away in fear. He was supposed to be dead. They'd seen his body. They'd mourned him. But here he stood, alive and whole, walking toward the platform with steady steps. The antivenom in our bond had worked. He looked strong, vital, every inch the Alpha they remembered. Impossible, Garrett breathed, his face draining of color. You're dead. I saw. You saw what you wanted to see, Damon interrupted, climbing onto the platform. Or rather, what you arranged to see. The poisoning. The death state. The funeral. All part of your plan, wasn't it, cousin? I don't know what you're talking about. But Garrett's voice wavered. You were attacked by rogues. I was poisoned with Wolfsbane Requiem, Damon said flatly. A legendary poison that mimics death. Someone administered it to me 4 days ago in my office, after I refused to approve certain financial transfers. He turned to face the crowd. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Someone who's been planning this for years. The pack was silent, hanging on every word. You're delusional, Garrett tried. The poison affected your mind. Did it affect the security footage too? Damon pulled out his phone, and Riley appeared with a portable projector she'd hidden in her bag. Within seconds, the warehouse video was playing for everyone to see. Garrett's voice, clear and damning, once the spell is complete, they'll think you killed them all. Your pack will turn on you, and Celine's child will be the perfect excuse for me to take control. The crowd erupted. Shouts of anger, confusion, betrayal. Wolves pressed closer, demanding answers. That video is fake, Garrett snarled. Doctored. A desperate attempt to. Is this fake too? A new voice cut through the chaos. Kale Nightfall emerged from the crowd, and the pack collectively flinched. The Nightshade Alpha was the last person anyone expected to see here. What are you doing in my territory? Garrett demanded. Delivering evidence. Kale climbed onto the platform, holding a folder. DNA results, obtained independently and verified by 3 separate labs. The child you're claiming is Damon's heir? He's yours, Garrett. Your biological son. Not Damon's. He opened the folder, showing documents. Riley grabbed them, reading aloud. Probability of paternity between Garrett Silvercrest and Ethan Silvercrest, 99.9%. Probability of paternity between Damon Silvercrest and Ethan Silvercrest, 0%. The clearing exploded. Wolves howled in fury. Garrett backed away, his expression wild. You're lying, he spat. All of you. This is a conspiracy. The only conspiracy is yours, Damon said coldly. You and Celine planned this 6 years ago. You planted her in my pack, had her seduce me, got her pregnant with your child. The plan was to pass Ethan off as my heir, then use him as an excuse to take over. You would be regent. She would be hidden. And I would be dead or discredited. Celine is dead, Garrett said desperately. Actually, Kale drawled, she's not. She's about 3 miles from here with a rogue army, waiting for your signal. Waiting for you to have secured the alpha position so she can attack while the pack is weakened and confused. He smiled, sharp and dangerous. Did you really think I wouldn't have scouts watching for unusual rogue movements? As if on cue, howls rose in the distance. Not friendly howls. Aggressive, hostile, the sound of an approaching army. They're early, Garrett snarled, abandoning all pretense. His eyes flashed gold, and he shifted partially, claws emerging. Fine. We do this the hard way. That rogue army? They're not waiting for my signal. They're following Celine's orders. And she wants Damon dead almost as much as I do. He lunged at Damon, moving with lethal speed. But Damon was ready. He met Garrett's attack head-on, and they clashed in a fury of claws and teeth. The pack erupted into chaos. Some wolves moved to defend Damon. Others, loyal to Garrett, attacked them. And in the distance, rogues poured into the clearing, dozens of them, all heading straight for the center where Damon and Garrett fought. Mira, get back. Riley shouted, but I was frozen, watching Damon fight. Through our bond, I felt his determination, his fury, his fear, not for himself, but for me, for his pack, for everyone depending on him. A rogue broke through the defenders, heading straight for me. I backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The rogue's claws reached for my throat. And something inside me snapped. Power flooded through me, silver and bright and ancient. I raised my hand without thinking, and light poured from my palm. The rogue stopped mid-attack, frozen, his eyes going blank. Stop, I commanded, and my voice wasn't my voice. It was bigger, older, carrying the weight of the moon itself. Stop fighting. All of you. Stop. Every wolf in the clearing froze. Rogues. Pack members. Garrett. Even Damon stopped mid-strike, staring at me in shock. I stood there, hand raised, silver light pouring from my skin, and I didn't understand what was happening. But I felt it, power channeled through the mate bond, through the moon, through something ancient and primal that had been sleeping inside me my entire life. Lunar Whisperer, Kale breathed. Goddess above, she's a lunar whisperer. What's a lunar whisperer? Someone in the crowd asked. A legend, Kale said, moving closer but not close enough to touch. Wolves born with the ability to channel the moon's power. They can command other wolves during the full moon, force submission without violence. They're born maybe once every 100 years. I stared at my glowing hands, at the frozen wolves, at the impossible situation I'd somehow brought to a standstill. Mira, Damon's voice through the bond, awed and terrified. Are you okay? I don't know, I admitted. But everyone stopped fighting. For now. Kale gestured to the edge of the clearing, where a woman had emerged from the rogue army. But she's not going to stay stopped. Celine. I recognized her from Damon's memories, beautiful, cold, with predator's eyes. She looked at me with undisguised fury. So, she said, her voice carrying across the silent clearing. The pathetic Omega has teeth after all. Interesting. She walked forward slowly, and I realized my power wasn't affecting her. Lunar Whisperer or not, you're still just one wolf. And I brought 50. Actually, Kale said pleasantly, you brought 50 rogues into a clearing where 3 alphas are standing together. Terrible tactical decision. 3. Celine's eyes narrowed. I see 2. Damon and Garrett. I'm the third, Kale said. And I'm allied with Damon. Which means you're outnumbered, outmatched, and out of time. Surrender now, and I'll make your imprisonment comfortable. Keep fighting, Anne, he smiled, showing teeth. Well. I've always wanted to know if legendary conspirators bleed the same as normal wolves. For a long moment, Celine stood frozen, calculating odds. Then she saw something in our faces, the determination, the unity, the absolute certainty that we would win, and her shoulders sagged. Stand down, she called to her rogues. It's over. The rogues hesitated, then slowly backed away. With Celine's surrender, the fight drained out of them. They'd been hired for easy prey and found 3 allied alphas instead. I released my hold on the crowd, and the silver light faded. Wolves shook themselves, looking confused and frightened. Garrett tried to run. He made it maybe 10 feet before Damon caught him, slamming his cousin to the ground with brutal efficiency. You're done, Damon said quietly. You're stripped of all rank, all privileges, all family ties. You betrayed your pack, attempted to murder your alpha, and conspired with enemies. The council will decide your punishment. That child is mine, Garrett spat. Mine. You can't keep him from me. That child, Damon said coldly, is innocent in all this. And he'll be raised by wolves who will love him, protect him, and never use him as a pawn. You'll never see him again. He hauled Garrett to waiting enforcers, who bound him in silver chains. Celine received the same treatment, though she went quietly, her eyes calculating even in defeat. The clearing slowly emptied as wolves returned to their homes, processing what they'd witnessed. Kale lingered, watching me with curiosity. Lunar Whisperer, he said. I've only read about them in old texts. Never thought I'd see one in person. I don't understand what happened, I admitted. I just reacted. The mate bond amplified your latent ability, Kale explained. Your connection to Damon, combined with the full moon, awakened something that's been dormant your whole life. You'll need training. Control. That kind of power. He shook his head. It's not something to take lightly. Will you help her? Damon asked, appearing at my side, sliding an arm around my waist. You know more about old wolf magic than anyone. I might know someone who can train her properly, Kale said. But that's a conversation for another day. For now, he looked between us, something like satisfaction in his dark eyes. You two have a pact to rebuild. And a ceremony to complete. Ceremony? I asked. Luna ceremony, Riley said, bouncing up to us with barely contained excitement. You saved the pack, Mira. You're bonded to the Alpha. The pack needs to formally recognize you as Luna. I looked at Damon, suddenly uncertain. Is that what you want? It's what I've wanted since the day I met you, he said softly. You stood by me through the darkest moments of my life. You risked everything to save me. You chose me, even knowing my secrets. If that's not Luna material, I don't know what is. Then yes, I said, feeling tears prick my eyes. Yes to all of it. To being Luna. To standing beside you. To whatever comes next. Good, Kale said, heading toward the edge of the clearing. Now you owe me one, Silvercrest. I'll collect eventually. Kale, Damon called after him. Thank you. For the evidence. For everything. The Nightshade Alpha paused, looking back with an unreadable expression. Thanks Selene, he said. She kept her promise. Protected the child. Kept him safe, even from herself. That takes a kind of courage I didn't think she had. He disappeared into the trees, leaving us with more questions than answers. Later, Damon said, reading my confusion through the bond. Right now, we have a pact to address. He called the pack back together, and this time, when he spoke, it was with authority and love, the Alpha they needed him to be. Today was supposed to be about betrayal and conspiracy, he said. Instead, it became about truth and justice. Garrett and Selene will face the consequences of their actions. But Ethan, young Ethan, he's innocent. He'll be placed with Marcus and his family, who have agreed to raise him with love and care. He'll know the truth about his parentage when he's old enough to understand, but he'll grow up knowing he's valued, not used. Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. And there's one more thing, Damon continued, pulling me forward. 2 years ago, I made a terrible mistake. I rejected my true mate, thinking I was protecting her. Instead, I only hurt her. But she saved me anyway. She risked her life, faced enemies, and awakened powers she didn't know she had, all to bring me back. She's shown strength, courage, and dedication that proves she's meant to lead beside me. He took my hand, raising it high. I present to you Mira Chin Silvercrest, my true mate and your Luna. Witness and accept our bond. The pack erupted in howls, celebration, acceptance, joy. After years of rejection and pain, they were welcoming me home. The ceremony that followed was beautiful, traditional words spoken under the full moon, the pack's recognition of our bond, the formal investiture as Luna. When it ended, I wore a silver circlet marking my rank and stood beside Damon, Alpha and Luna united. That night, as we celebrated with the pack, I felt complete in a way I'd never experienced. The bond hummed between Damon and me, strong and permanent. The pack had accepted me. The threat was ended. Everything was perfect. Except. As I looked out over the celebration, I caught movement in the shadows at the clearing's edge. A woman stood there, tall, hooded, her face hidden. She watched us for a long moment, and even from a distance, I felt the weight of her gaze. Then she turned and disappeared into the darkness. Damon, I said quietly. Did you see? I saw, he said, his arm tightening around me. And we'll deal with it when the time comes. But tonight? Tonight, we celebrate. Tomorrow's threats can wait. He was right. Whatever was coming, we'd face it together. Alpha and Luna. Mates. Partners. But as we danced under the full moon, I couldn't shake the memory of that hooded figure, or the words she'd whispered that only my enhanced hearing had caught. So the whisperer awakens. How delightful. This changes everything. The celebration continued around us, joyous and loud. But I knew, deep in my bones, that this wasn't an ending. It was only the beginning. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.